crafty friends. Welcome to Funday Monday number 7. I'm excited about this project, and it is one that we are going to do every Monday for the rest of May and for the month of June. It is Lion Brand's Hat Not Hate project, and Lion Brand and Shira, the founder, are hoping to collect 100,000 hats this year to hand out to school-age children in the month of October. So if you want to participate, follow along with us. All hats have to be in to Lion Brand by August the 1st of 2020. And the one that we are going to look at making today looks like this. And all the details will be listed in the description box below. And I also have a little Hat Not Hate video clip that I put out over the weekend that also goes into a lot more detail about the actual hat requirements, meaning that the hats have to be at least 75% blue, if not solid blue. They do prefer the beanie style hat, and it does need to be adult fitting, and that does apply for our school-age children. These hats will fit our school-age children. All right, the pattern that we are going to make is the Urban Minimalist Crochet hat from Michaels. If you will notice, it is actually a Lion Brand pattern as well. So if you're ready to get started, I'll meet you at the craft table. Here are the items that you are going to need for your hat. You will need a pair of scissors and a yarn needle for sewing in your ends and for sewing in the seam of your hat. You will need a measuring tape to measure the length of your hat. You will need a 6.0 J hook. I think that just says 6 on there. It's kind of hard to see, but it is a J hook, a J10 hook, 6 millimeter. The yarn that you're using, and of course, lotion to hydrate your hands. The first thing we're going to do is create our slip knot. Remember that this loop on the hook does not count as a chain. And we are then going to chain 65. So go ahead and chain 65, and I will meet you at the end of your chain. And then we will begin our first row. When you have your chain of 65, we are going to single crochet into the second chain from the hook. So 1, 2. And then we are going to single crochet in each chain across, and that will give us a total of 64 single crochets. So go ahead and single crochet all the way across into each chain, and I will meet you at the end of the row. When you are at the end of the row and you have your 64 single crochets, we are going to chain 1 and turn our work. And right in that first single crochet, we are going to do another single crochet, and we are going to single crochet all the way back across. And again, we will end with 64 single crochets. So go ahead and work your single crochets all the way back across, and I'll meet you at the end of this second row, and I'll tell you what to do for the next row. When you get to the end of your second row and you have your second row of 64 single crochets, you're going to chain 1, turn your work, and you're going to repeat row 2 for row 3 and 4. So you're going to do 2 more rows of single crochets all the way across, ending each row with 64 single crochets. So go ahead and complete rows 3 and 4, and I will meet back up with you when you're ready for row 5. When you get to the end of your 4th row, you should have 4 rows of 64 single crochets. We're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3. We're going to turn our work. This chain 3 is going to count as our first double crochet, and we're going to skip this first single crochet, and we're going to double crochet right into that second one. And then we are going to double crochet all the way across. So go ahead and double crochet all the way down to the end of your 5th row, and I will meet up with you and tell you what to do from there. So when you get all the way across your 5th row, making your double crochets, you're going to chain 3 and turn your work, and we're going to double crochet in that second stitch. So we're going to skip this first stitch, and we're going to go into the second stitch and do a double crochet. So we're just repeating row 5 for row 6, and we're going to continue repeating row 5 until your hat measures in length about 7 to 7.5 inches. So it might vary just a little bit depending on everyone's tension. But when you get your hat to somewhere around 7.5 inches, go ahead and stop, and I'll meet back with you and we'll finish off the top part of our hat. So when you have your piece worked up to where it is 7 to 7.5 inches, just going to measure to make sure. Put my 0 down right there, and it is right at about 7 inches, as you can see right here. All right, so now we're going to start the next row doing decreases. So we're going to chain 3, 1, 2, and 3, and then we're going to turn our work. And this time our chain 3 is not going to count as a double crochet. Just like we had before, though, we're going to skip the very first one. So going forward and across, we're going to do what's called double crochet 2 together. And to do that, remember, we're going to skip this first one. We're going to come into this next stitch, and we're going to insert our hook, draw up a loop, yarn over, and pull through the first 2 loops. And then that leaves 2 on the hook. We're going to yarn over, go into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. That gives you 4 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through the first 2. That leaves 3 hooks, that leaves 3 chains on the hook. We're going to yarn over and pull through all 3. Let's do that again real slow. Yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, and that leaves 2 loops on your hook. Yarn over, insert into the next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop. You have 4 loops on your hook. Yarn over, pull through the first 2, and that leaves 3 loops on your hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3. So you're actually making 1 stitch, but you're using 2 stitches. So that's how it's considered a decrease, okay? Because 2 stitches are becoming 1. So let's do another double crochet 2 together decrease stitch. Yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over, pull through and pull up a loop. You have 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2. Yarn over, insert your hook into the next stitch, yarn over and pull up a loop. You have 4 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through the first 2 loops, and that leaves 3 loops on the hook. Yarn over and pull through all 3. Let's do a couple more together. And we're going to do that all the way across the row. And your last decrease stitch will end in the very last stitch on this row. So go ahead and finish doing your double crochet 2 together decrease stitches all the way across, and when you get to the very end of this row, I will meet up with you and we will finish our last row together. So when you get down to the end of your row and you have your 2 stitches remaining, go ahead and do your last double crochet decrease stitch. And then you're going to chain 3 again and turn your work. And this time, and you can see where your hat is already starting to curve for the top there. Okay. And this time that chain 3 is going to count as a double crochet again. And so we're going to skip that first stitch because that is counting as a double crochet as well. And we're going to go into the next stitch and double crochet. And then we're just going to double crochet all the way across. So go ahead and finish this row out with double crochets, and I will meet you at the end of this row. This is our last row. All right, so when you get to the end of that row, you can see how your hat is starting to nicely form. We're going to go ahead and give ourselves a long tail for sewing. And then snip it off. And chain 1. And I always chain 2 for extra security. Pull it all the way through. Tighten that knot down to your work. Grab your yarn needle. Now, When I sew my pieces together, I want to do it where my wrong sides are facing one another. Excuse me, where my right sides are facing one another, so that my wrong sides are on the outside. So if you're like me and you didn't put a stitch marker in to remember which side is your right side and your wrong side, remember, right side will be the part of the hat that is seen when worn, and the wrong side will be the side that is actually hugging the head. So if you didn't use a stitch marker and you're saying to yourself, well, which is my right and which is my wrong side? If you'll remember, when you make your foundation chain, here's your foundation tail. Your chain runs along here, so when you're coming back across with that first row, that's your right side. So your foundation tail will be on the left. So I know this is my right side. This is the side that I want showing out. The more experienced you become, you will start to notice when you look at the stitches, you'll automatically be able to look and tell the right side from the wrong side. Okay? All right. So since I want my seam on the wrong side, which is going to be the inside of the hat, I'm going to fold my piece so that my insides are facing one another and my wrong side, my outside part, is on the outside. All right, hope that didn't confuse you. Go ahead and put your yarn on your yarn needle. Now, this is kind of a small project, so you really don't need clips, but if you feel that you do, go ahead and get your piece lined up, put on a couple clips, and then we are going to weave and whip stitch in our ends. So I'm going to come up under the outside loop of this one and the outside loop of that one, and I'm going to pull it through, and I'm going to do that one more time. All right, and then we're going to go on to the next stitches. And then we'll do the next one, trying to get closer so you can see it very good. And we're going to do the next ones. And we're just going to do this all the way across the top of our hat. Well, that yarn's just wanting to get in the way, isn't it? And be sure you don't forget this last one on the end here. And I always like to do my end ones double. All right, now you can leave your hat like that if you wanted. And have it look kind of like that. But for this pattern, let me turn it back. I'm going to turn it and I'm going to pull it really tight. So see how it kind of bunches up there? It gives it kind of that pokey little top. And then grab your yarn needle again. And then just kind of weave through the tops of some of those. And you're heading back over here to your side seam. So we're just going to keep going under a couple of those strands till we get back over to here. And then we're going to do the same thing we did on the top on the sides. And just sew our side seam all the way down. And I'm not pulling it tight, I'm just pulling it, you know, to where it comes to the end like that. Because you pull it too tight, it will start bunching up, and you don't want that on the side. So just keep going down, sewing your side seam up. When you get down to the end, fasten off, and I'll meet you back there. All right, when you've gotten to the end here and you've secured it with a knot, give yourself a little bit of a tail so you can fasten it off. And I'm just going to weave my tails in with you real quick. That's my foundation tail. Gonna come up through a couple stitches right there. I'm just gonna, well, if I can get up under there. There we go. Trying to go through those single crochets. All right, I made that look a lot tougher than what it was, but so just go up under a couple of those, skip the very last one, and then take it back through. Oh yeah, it went back through a lot easier than it went through the first time. And then pull that through, and then go ahead and snip that off. And then let's do our foundation one. I'm going to flip it over and we'll go through, oops, some of these. Trying to just go through those top part of the stitches. Go through just a couple more and pull that through, and then just take it back through. Snip that off. And then we're just going to turn our hat right side out. And there you go. And there's your top. And let's just see what it looks like on our mannequin. Oops. All right, there we go. And can you see that? And there we go. Looking good. This wraps up our tutorial for today on our first hat for our Hat Not Hate tutorial. I hope you enjoyed making that hat. We will make an entirely different hat next Monday, so I hope you'll come back and join us. And until next time, be joyful, stay crafty in your own way, and make your own joyful creations. Bye!